Hello and welcome to The World Musician. In transit, travel the world through music and dance, multi-ethnic ensembles. One name that pops up in your mind as soon as you hear these words is Sean Blackman. Sean Blackman is an established world music musician. He is a guitarist and a composer. His unique world music style is influenced by his deep passion for traditional ethnic music from around the world and, of course, growing up in Detroit, jazz, blues, rock, and soul. Sean Blackman works with internationally renowned performers as well as Detroit's finest and always brings a cross-cultural approach to his shows and recordings. Welcome to The World Musician, Sean, and thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks, Sunita, for having me.
So, how, when, and why did you become a world musician, especially growing up in the Motown, Detroit?
Well, first of all, hello, Metro Detroit, and thank you so much, Sunita,
Oh, my pleasure.
for having me on your show. This is pretty incredible to be here. So, you know, my history is interesting, and there's quite an evolution that happened, and it's there's a few people that are, you know, really integral to my whole love for music, and the first of which is my mom. She has a deep love for all the arts, actually, and she filled my brother and I, she filled our spirits with visual art, everything from clay to paintings to sculptures to hand-blown glass to metalwork, and she also had many artist friends. So
Wow.
My brother and I grew up in this kind of environment, and always going to art openings and galleries, and there's always some party involved, which also involved music often, right? And she had an amazing collection of music, and she taught my brother and I how to listen to music, just how a teacher would teach an art student how to view a painting, almost. And
That's really important.
And it was. So I think that was the foundation of it all. And then my brother gave me a guitar for my 12th birthday. And that was right around the time I started to like rock and roll.
Okay.
And it was an electric guitar, and I had my distortion pedal and my and it was exciting. It's really exciting. I couldn't wait to get home from school. It's to play all my favorite rock tunes on my guitar, and so I think that was the beginning of it all. Like just this internal joy that came from it. My mom said she'd wake me up for school in the morning, and my guitar would, you know, I'd just fallen asleep playing it.
Teach yourself guitar, or?
Well, my brother showed me some basic chords, and a lot of rock and roll music is quite basic. It's not like learning Brazilian jazz or some Antonio Carlos Jobim piece, you know, with all these crazy voicings or anything. They were just really simple chords. So at an adolescent stage of guitar playing, I was still able to play these radio pop hits, you know, which was pretty cool. It not only excited me, but my friends too. Wow, that's amazing. And then into my teens, there's a radio DJ from NPR, WDET FM radio named Judy Adams, who had a world music radio show. And Judy, Monday through Friday, on her show was playing back-to-back songs from, you'd hear an Argentine tango, then Afro-Peruvian piece, and then an Ethiopian jazz song, and then an Indian rag, and then French gypsy jazz to Spanish flamenco to, she'd take you all around the world to some South Central African high life music.
And as a teen, you were listening to NPR.
As a teen, I was
Okay.
listening to NPR.
Okay.
Dig that, right?
Yeah.
And that, I think, my brother plays a significant role in that too, because he was so open-minded, and we became both, just funnels for these global sounds. So, and also I have my Armenian heritage as a young boy hanging out at the Armenian churches. There was always a live band playing. So my ear at a young age was getting accustomed to hearing quarter tones, and these different styles and approaches to stringed instruments and woodwind instruments, that were from different lands. And so when I started listening to Judy's show, nothing was really all that foreign. There were things that were quite familiar to my ears, and I know across the board there was the common thread for all the music I listened to is just heart. You could hear the heart in a song. You could see the heart in a painting, no matter how crazy and abstract that Picasso piece is. Oh my God, there's heart in it, and you may hang it in your living room because of it, even though it has 6 eyeballs, or something. But so I think that was, those 3 people played, that significant role in my multicultural genre that I'm in right now, as far as being a composer and a producer of music.
Great, great. What was the very first piece that you composed?
Oh my God, really? That's right. It had words too, but I won't sing.
So it was a song.
It was a full song. My voice is really bad. I can't hit.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you, did you ever try singing? Because you seem to have a nice voice.
I sang a lot as a kid, but all my friends and family did that.
Oh, really?
Like, Sean, just play. It's so beautiful when you play. Just stop singing. And I ignored them, I think, till I was around 19 or 20, and then my own ears at that point became refined enough to tell myself, okay, I'll hire singers when I need a vocalist. So I still write songs and lyrics, but just have other people sing them.
Okay. What would you like to play for us today?
Well, there is a piece that I would really like to play, and it's a song I've written that I've written a long time ago. But I love playing it. So much of what I do is hybrid music and very non-traditional, non-authentic. I don't try to own any one style of playing. I gathered techniques of different genres. The guitar has traveled the planet, and every country's guitar players has a different right-hand approach to it, technique, and swing, and rhythmic swaying. So this one piece that I want to play is a bit of a hodgepodge. It has definitely influenced by my Armenian heritage. Okay. There's a little bit of rock and roll you might hear in there. Well, I hear it anyway. And might be a few flamenco technique that's kind of mixed in. But the song is called Yetas Ner, and in Armenian that means dreams. And an artist you had on your show before, Ara Topuzian, performed on the original recording I did of this piece. It's in 5/4 time, which is something we hear often in a lot of Armenian dance music.
And Ara has told me about that beat before. Can you just tell it to me again?
And that beat is actually strangely similar to Dave Brubeck's Take 5. He's a famous jazz composer or performer, and that piece is, but his approach is going to have a more jazz swing. This is a little more Eastern swing, but anyway.
feels like the guitar is just a speaker for you. I see your whole body is making that music. So much energy, and I also noticed that you use your nails. You don't use pick at all.
I have 5 picks.
Okay.
Yeah, that stemmed from my love for flamenco. When I fell in love with flamenco guitar
Okay.
and dove into that world, I noticed that these guitar players are doing so many cool acrobatics, right hand acrobatics on the strings, and so I threw my rock and roll guitar pick away, and I grew my nails out, and all my friends thought I was weird.
And you also changed the last string to some other.
Yeah, I tuned it down. Normally, it's the lowest string on a guitar is normally tuned to E,
E, right? Okay.
and I tuned it down to D. It gives it kind of a little bit of a growl,
Okay.
you know, and it works really good with the second string, which is A. Together, they
Yeah.
form a chord,
Okay.
and it's just a nice bedding for
do
that
normally do
composition.
guitar players do that? Do they change
Some.
the last string? Okay.
Some, yeah, it's a fun little trick, you know.
Yeah, it is.
And it helps sometimes, you know, as a composer. Sometimes if there's nothing fresh or wild happening in your day-to-day life, you need to change things up a little bit.
Oh yeah, that's amazing.
Pretty cool trick. So yeah, whatever you got to do
Now
for
the
inspiration.
song that you just played is from one of your albums, right?
Mm-hmm.
In Transit.
Yep, it's called In Transit.
Beautiful album. I've heard it all.
Thank you. That record, I brought together Senegalese, Brazilian, and Armenian musicians, and along with Detroit jazz
Okay.
musicians. Pit them in the studio together and made them play collectively on my compositions. It was not all instruments worked together on all songs, so there was some separation going on, but for the most part, the goal was to get everyone to play together. Kind of with kind of a light shined on the diversity and inclusion, but through music.
Now, the name of your album, In Transit, that's your first album?
Solo album. I have probably 9 albums out that I've produced, but some of the other ones are teamed up with other musicians. This is my first kind of solo approach.
Okay.
It's a concept record, you know.
So that name stuck on with you, right? So you call all your projects.
Yeah, it became from the name of an album to now it's like basically it's an organization now that produces world hybrid music, and through live concerts, many different platforms, studio recordings, soundtracks. So it's about tailor-making groups to fit whatever the performance needs. I have been hired by some pretty large companies. You know, these large corporations, they have diversity departments now because they have such a wide range of cultures in their employee base. So they have diversity departments to make sure that the companies are showing their appreciation for the diversity that's working together, diverse cultures that are working together under one roof. And my phone rings for work, which is really cool. General Motors called me and asked me to put China, India, the Middle East, African America, and Native America together in one band. So then I get to call all my friends that I work with, including you. And that was a great concert.
It was an amazing concert.
I thought,
yeah.
one of my favorite things to do when putting these bands together is to make sure that I have a Detroit funk drummer, though. Yeah. Put the Western twist on it. And, I mean, I remember this was a funny moment for me. This is when I realized that I will never be authentic at anything I do. And it was when I was in Brazil, and because I'm always going on these musical pilgrimages, I call them. where I fall in love with the country's music, and I have to go there. I want to go drink the water, eat the food, and hang out in the clubs where these musicians are playing, live. So there I am in Brazil with my guitar on my shoulder, and someone said to me, "Oh, you play guitar?" "Yeah." "What do you play?" I said, "I play bossa nova, samba." They're like, "Oh, let's hear it." I pull my guitar, zip my case, I pull my guitar out, and my sleeves, and here I think I'm playing a bossa nova, and that's not bossa. "What about samba? You play samba?" I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "That's not samba." So I'm from Oak Park, Michigan. I have to embrace that I'm from Oak Park. So no matter what my approach is, it's going to be non-authentic. And when I embraced it is when I felt my own spirit and my own voice start to blossom. And this is who I am, and it's okay. It's okay to do things how I do them, and that's what makes an artist, and that's what makes us love artists, I think. So I'm at this age of 45 years old. In the last 5 years, I've had these kind of revelations, where I'm embracing the Western twist that I'm going to have on everything. So.
And you're also going to schools and educating kids.
Oh my God, that's
you?
one of my favorite things. Even right now in my car, I have a SUV full of instruments from like 12 different countries. And yeah, I go to schools, K through 12, and I give lectures. It's a 1-hour thing. In 45 minutes, I'll take the kids to about 10 to 12 countries. I get a map of the world, laser pointer, and I display all my instruments out, and the kids love it. I'll usually open it up with, "All right, you're going to hear music today. You're not being spoon-fed. Now, who wants to go to Brazil? Yay!" And who wants to go to India? Who wants to go to whatever?
It's fun. I mean, teaching kids is fun. So
it is.
Yeah.
And they get to see all these super cool instruments, right? Some of those instruments, like harmonium. I did a lecture in Grosse Pointe, Brownell Middle School, like 500 kids in the auditorium. And Grosse Pointe is quite Anglo-Saxon. And after my 45 minutes, I open it up for Q&A, and there's a little Indian girl in the back of the room. Her hand up, and I chose her. And she didn't have a question. She just said, "My uncle plays the harmonium."
Oh, really?
And my heart, like all I could think in this moment, this single moment, this little girl can now tell her friends, "Remember that funny guy on stage playing that wooden box? That's from my country," right? She could now talk about it and not feel diverse, not feel strange anymore. And these are the things that really fuel everything I do lately. And can I just mention about the World Music Concert Series?
Absolutely.
I did. This is important for me and Detroit, but this is live bands. I'm trying to expose all the great ethnic talent that lurks about our Metro Detroit, as well as our mainstream talent. So every month at the Garden Theater in Detroit, I'm doing every last Thursday of the month. I'll have a funk, jazz, rhythm section backing up. Every month I'll do 2 different countries. Last month I did Spain and Argentina. This month I'm doing Senegal and Brazil.
Oh, okay.
And next month, hopefully, I'm thinking China and India, and hopefully you'll be available for that too.
It's amazing, that you're doing so much and then bringing it to schools and, teaching it to children. And there's never enough time. I mean, we can go on and on. Unfortunately, we have to stop here.
Okay.
Would you like to close with another?
Sure. I didn't plan for 2, but let's see. I'll do a Brazilian classic. This is another one of my favorite guitar players named Baden Powell. Brazilian guitar player, moved to Europe, studied classical, and then moved to Spain and studied flamenco, and then came back home and put it all together with his samba and bossa nova roots, and his style is fantastic. Unique approach to the guitar, and he composed a piece of music called Berimbau that I adore. So my own approach to it. So.